welcome, welcome. We've got some people waiting. I'll wait for some chats to pop up and yeah. So, it's been a week since our last live. Our last live was fun. I had a really good time chatting to you guys and it's nice. I feel like this stuff's really good for I guess our community engagement. It's nice because I feel like I can actually connect with you guys because what happens is you post a video and then you see the numbers on a screen, but it's never really anyone because it's just numbers. So it's kind of cool to interact and be able to actually talk live, which I really like. Just let me know if you guys can hear me as well. I've got pretty much the most primitive technology possible. So I've got some mics connected to my phone on a cheap tripod. So as long as you guys can hear me, I'm happy. Hey everyone for joining. It's a little low on the volume. Maybe you need to turn it up. But if you can hear me, then good. Yeah, so thanks for joining. I know that these streams are kind of at an interesting time. I can't really commit to a specific time every single week. Every week's a little bit different for me. And I can't really promise that, on 2 p.m. on Wednesdays, we're going to do a stream every time. Can everyone, okay, some people saying they can barely hear me. That's interesting because maybe if I take this off and if I turn this up, hold up. You should be able to hear me. That's weird. I'm adjusting the volume. I think people can hear me, so I'm just going to go along with that. Maybe they're trolling me. Okay, can you guys, this is good? I don't want to keep doing, okay. All right, we're moving on. That's it with the volume. Apparently people can hear me, good. Yeah, I can't commit to a time every week, but I'm going to try my best to do one of these each week. We're going to continue on with it. This is the second one in a row, so I'm happy with that. So what's been happening? So the start of this week, it was kind of an impromptu trip, really. Me and Jason have been wanting to go and just do some kind of camping trip for a while. We've been, obviously had a massive year this year, especially Jason probably wasn't anticipating it. I definitely wasn't with the build. And the whole time we were doing the build, we were talking about trips that we might do or places we were going to go. And I just messaged him last week, I think I might have spoken to him at the store. I said, hey, do you want to go for a quick trip out west again? Because I went out west in a video 2 years ago. And when we went out west, it was fun, but it was definitely in the middle of it being in a dry spell. And for those who don't know, out in the Outback in Australia, it's constantly fluctuating between dry and wet seasons, so flooding and then very, very high drought. And so we went during a drought, so it was no fish. We caught I think we caught one spangled perch and a couple of shrimp and some yabbies. And so I wanted to go and do it again. We were getting itchy feet. So it was super fun. We packed all our stuff, and also this week, Sanam has gone on a trip with her dad to New Zealand, so they're having some dad-daughter time together. So I've been at home alone, and so me and Sam have been having some bachelor pad time together, so I thought it was a great opportunity for us to get out and go and do something. So I actually brought Sam with me, and he's hiding here in his bed. Sammy, I'm going to wake him up. Hey. You can't see him. Sam came with me. Hey, buddy. You say hi to everyone? Oh. Sam came with me to the Outback, and he had a really, really good time, didn't you? He got very dirty. Every time we went to a dam or a creek, he obviously had to go and step in the mud everywhere and get super wet. And he's been sleeping the entire time since we got back. So I don't think he got very much sleep. He was sleeping in the car, but he was up and down. But he's been sleeping the entire time we came back because I think he was absolutely buggered. He was super confused when we left, because obviously I can't speak dog, so I couldn't tell him, hey, we're going to go to the Outback. So we kept driving and driving, and you could just see the look on his face, like, what the heck are we going? And then we pulled up at camp, and he was like, all right. And then at night, I think he was waiting for us to finally go home. And the only thing, he was really, really good. He'd come back on call. He was great. The only thing that he didn't get was the tent. He just did not understand it. And I have like a single man swag. Here, you want to hop down, buddy? I have a single man swag. And yeah, it was pretty tight with me and Sam in there. He was constantly up trying to, like, he just didn't get it. Like, so, but he had a good time. It was a really fun little experience for us to share together, wasn't it? And yeah, we had a good time. So we went out. We were going to go for 2 nights. We went about 4.5 hours out of Brisbane, just straight west pretty much. And first night was great. Explored a bunch of creeks. It had been raining recently, so everything was full. And then on the second day, so we were meant to stay. So I was meant to get home tonight. So I'm actually home way earlier than I thought we were going to be. On the second day, so yesterday, we went and we just stopped at one of these random puddles on the side of the road to let Sam out, and we just grabbed the net and had a swish around, and Jason swished through a puddle and found something really, really cool that he was surprised about and I was surprised about. But when I see, because Jason's done a lot more traveling around Australia than me, when I see Jason get excited about something, I know that it's definitely really, really good. And we found some fairy shrimp. So I've actually got them over here. I'm going to show you guys them. I might even turn the camera around, why not? And we'll talk about the shield shrimp that I found. Not shield shrimp, fairy shrimp. I always confuse those names up because they're really similar. So I guess we'll sit here. So I put them up. You can actually see one swimming here right now. I've put them up in one of these little 5-gallon tanks. And yeah, I've never seen these in an aquarium store before. I've seen the eggs for sale, but I've never seen them for sale in stores, and I've definitely never collected them before. And I actually didn't realize that they could be this close to Brisbane. Like Jason said that he found them, I think in WA, so Western Australia, so way on the other side, like a 6-hour flight away from where we found them. And the interesting thing was there was a puddle where we caught them, a small puddle, and then there was a puddle literally maybe a metre further, and we swished in there, not a single shrimp. So they're super duper location specific, and yeah, they're a really interesting creature. So they're very similar to brine shrimp, except these are fully freshwater, and basically the way they breed is obviously they'll do the act, they'll breed, they'll lay their eggs. They can lay eggs that either lay instantaneously or hatch instantaneously, I should say. So they can colony breed sort of like Daphnia, and I think brine shrimp do the same thing. Like they can lay eggs and then constantly produce a big colony, like your normal cherry shrimp would. But they can also lay eggs that they put in the substrate, and these eggs can last for years, and dry out completely. So what happens is, because these puddles that they're living in dry out during the dry season and the shrimp all die, the eggs remain, and during the next rain when it fills back up, that's when they start to hatch and they just explode. And we were lucky enough to catch a few. So we decided when we caught them that this might be one of the only opportunities that we get to firstly catch them, but secondly keep them alive and culture them in the aquariums. So Jason's a big photographer. He likes to do videos and photos and set up biotopes. He's got a real knack for it. I'm not really that way inclined as much. For me, the first thing I thought about when getting these was, how can I breed them? How can I keep them? And then the first thing he thought was, how can I photograph them? And we didn't want to risk it by staying out an extra night. We had oxygen and we had them in bags, but the bags were in super dirty water. And we just didn't really want to risk losing them over just one extra night of camping. And we figured we can just go back out when we want to. So we went straight home pretty much after catching them. And I've got them in this tank and they're actually doing really well. So I'll take you guys off here. Sorry I haven't been really engaging with you guys, but we'll do some more Q&A after I'm done with my ranting. But yes, I do have them in dirty water. They came and they were in super duper like muddy coffee looking water, like that looked like tea. And then I put them in here in that water, and I slowly filled it up with green water from the ponds. So the way they eat is they eat green water, like Daphnia. I don't know what brine shrimp eat. I think brine shrimp eat the same stuff, but obviously brine shrimp are salt water creatures. So the first thing that got me excited about these is I thought that they could be a really awesome pet, like a sea monkey sort of a thing for a beginner, like someone who hasn't kept an aquarium before. We could sell them eggs in substrate and sell them a little tank, and they probably don't even need an air pump. They'd need like a little yeast culture or something like that, and they could keep their own little shrimp. But even better than this is I don't know how rapidly they produce, but I thought that I could indefinitely keep a live culture of these going and use them for feeding fish in my room. So like things like the goldfish, the biches, all sorts of stuff that requires some live food, and they would be super high in protein. So I'll try and show you guys how they look. They're really interesting and weird looking things. We'll flip the camera around. So they're just in these little 5-gallon tanks, and you can see it's really green. I expect that what's going to happen is this water's going to get clear. But there you go, there's one there. They swim like brine shrimp too, but these are fully fresh. So we'll just keep waiting for them to swim to the front. But what I'm expecting is that these tubs will, there you go, there's another one. And there's another one. I've definitely got males and females, but these have been like alive longer than the dinosaurs. Like these are so prehistoric, you've got no clue. What they'll do though is they'll clean up this green water, and it'll go back to like moderately clear by probably tomorrow. And then I'll just keep topping it up with green water as we go along. But they've actually got egg sacs and all that sort of stuff. And people are commenting, you need something to clear out the water like a filter. I understand where you're coming from, but that is totally against the point of what I'm trying to do here. So these, you can see I've got a tiny bit of aeration here. These were found in like the dirtiest puddle you can think of, and they just filter feed. So the green water in here, I've added it intentionally for them to feed off of. So they're going to filter through and eat all those little pieces of algae and use them to grow. And it's free. But you'll actually notice this, I reckon this water will become clear in no time at all. So yeah, I don't want to filter this too much, because also I want to keep the water really stagnant. But yeah, the goal is here that I've added a little bit of sand. So they only live for 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm expecting that in a couple of weeks they'll be dead. But hopefully they'll breed like crazy. I'll figure out in this setup whether they breed instantaneously with those instant eggs, so whether they just start colony breeding, or if they all die, I'm 95% sure that they'll lay a ton of eggs in this sand. And what I can do is let this tank, I'll drain all the water out, let the eggs dry out for a week in the sun, and then I'll bring the tank back in sand, fill it back up with water, and start a brand new culture. So very interesting little creatures. I'm hoping Jason can get a really good video of them. I haven't been this excited for something like this in a long time. This is probably historic, and yeah, like super exciting. We filmed the whole entire thing on a vlog, so that should be out in probably about 2 weeks. So yeah, that was really awesome, and I can't wait to see how they go. So hopefully, I think they're going to be pretty easy. I think they're, I'm just adjusting this, sorry. I think they're going to be pretty easy. They're like, obviously they're a very prehistoric animal and creature, and they wouldn't have lasted this long if they were ridiculously hard to keep. So I'm expecting, like, they're doing really well today. I'm expecting to definitely have cultures of them and hopefully be able to sell some in the store. So that's what's happened with that. And what else happened on the Outback trip? Me and Jason also found a huge log to put over the stream tank in our store. So if you haven't watched the videos, go and watch them. But basically, we have in the store we set up a huge 2.7 meter long waterfall tank that is basically when you come up the top of the stairs and you turn like to go up, you can't miss it. It's right there. We haven't even set up that tank yet, and we've been waiting for a little while because we don't want to rush it because it's such a big tank that setting it up, it's going to be pretty much set it up, and to tear it down would take forever, and we don't want to do that. So we've been waiting, we've been patient, and we've been gathering the resources that we need to actually do it. So Jason's been collecting rocks, we've collected some wood, we've bought some wood and stuff that we need for it. And over the top of the tank, we've set up this huge spot to install a massive log, like suspended over the top of the tank. And while we were out, we found the perfect one. So we strapped it to Jason's roof on his ute, and it looked so silly. Like coming out of some of these outback towns, people couldn't care less. Like they just looked at us like it was any day activity. But the second we started getting in towards Brisbane on the motorway, like people were driving past and pointing, and we didn't tell Mia, my shop manager, this morning that it was going to be there. And there's just this huge 2.7 meter long, I think it's even a bit longer, log down in the warehouse. So we got that. What else happened? It was a fun trip. Collected a bunch of petrified wood as well. There's a bunch of petrified wood out there. Did some, yeah, it was good. We had a fire. It was a nice little break. The only thing that I can I can say is we didn't get to have any showers. That's all right. We were only out for like one night, so that was okay. But yeah, it was a fun little trip. So I might start looking at the comments. Sorry guys, I've been kind of just talking to myself and explaining what's been going on. But looks like everyone's just talking about fish and yeah, just normal chat going on here. It's just some of the evolution's greatest hits in there. That's another thing that I think is really cool is like this evolutionarily, what kind of species, I mean, obviously you've got killifish and all that sort of stuff, but how crazy is it that there's a species that lays eggs, everyone dies, it preemptively lays eggs just to spread the next generation. And they don't know when the next time there's going to be water. There might not be water for another 5 years, and I'm sure that they're going to hatch out. So genuinely pretty crazy. We also did have a donation before as well, so thank you for that. I don't remember who donated, but I appreciated that. So I'll also, I think I might talk about a little bit as well on how the shop's going. So since last week, I think it's been really, really tight for us. Especially, we spent a lot of money building the new store, so that was really expensive. But just like I talked about this last week, but just stocking the store. So we've been every week, basically the best way to describe it is for like every single bag of Bug Buffet that we're selling to someone, we're buying that bag that we sold and another one. And the reason we're doing this is because the store's a lot bigger now than what we used to have, and there's a lot more shelf space to fill. So we stock now pretty much everything that you would need for an aquarium. We've got canisters, we've got internal pumps, we've got wave makers, heaters, lights, gravel, plants, everything. And in the old store, we didn't have the room to do that. We just had, we basically just had like a huge range of fish, and we were selling obviously the Bug Buffet and the Green Cuisine, but we didn't have the room to supply like tank setups and things like that. And something I didn't think about when we were setting up was, yeah, the expense of stocking. So we, it's definitely been tight, and I think what's been happening is week to week we're just trying to make sure that we're staying, buying as much as we could to keep the rang. I probably need to put it. We all still here? I just it would have just lagged out. Some idiot just called me. So, and the reason I say some idiot, it was a wholesaler probably. So, not one that calls me all the time, and I've told them never to call me again. They call me all the time. No, it wasn't. It was insurance. Great. I need to figure out how to put my phone on DND. I've lost track of what I was talking about, but we, oh yeah, stocking. So we're gearing up for a big Black Friday. We're going to do 10% off for the entire week. On the actual Black Friday, we're going to do 30% off Bug Buffet and Green Cuisine, and 20% off live fish and plants in store as well. So, but what I was going to say more on that, and you guys might be able to tell me what you think, but it's really interesting as the business owner, because you're focusing on top end stuff. It's really interesting to see the pattern of how revenue works. So like coming into Black Friday, I've noticed that before Black Friday, like in the month of October, we had pretty consistent sales through the month. And then I've noticed that, especially the industry that we're in being aquariums, it's not an essential purchase for people. So when people don't have money, they hold back on spending on their aquariums, which I totally understand. And that's just how this industry works. But I've noticed that coming into this Black Friday period, like early November, even when I look back on years prior, the spending reduces because people are holding back their money to, I'll answer your question about selling live fish online in a second. But people hold back their spending as it comes into Black Friday because I think they're holding back to buy gifts for their family or gear up for Christmas. So we're coming into that now, and there's definitely a little bit of a squeeze, but we're definitely going to be all good. But yeah, it's just interesting, things that I'm learning from running this, and yeah, just something I've noticed. I've also noticed that you'd think that January and February would be quiet months after Christmas, but for my aquarium store at least, we find that those months are actually quite big. I think people come back from being on holidays in December and they start thinking about their aquariums, or they were gifted an aquarium for Christmas and they set them up. So yeah, just interesting patterns. So anyways, I did get a question just before that I wanted to answer, and I haven't really had time to talk about this, and this is probably the best spot to talk about this on a live. But we have taken live fish off of our website in Australia. So we used to sell lots and lots of live fish across Australia. We used to ship them out, pack them every Monday. It was actually insane. I pretty much built this business off of the back of doing that. I used to breed a lot of fish and we'd sell them online. I don't know if most of you guys were around for that, or if you could, I don't know if you've watched those videos before, but basically what I used to do is when I first started this out, I'd breed fish as many as I could and list them on my website and then sell them and send them direct to your door. We used to do that all the way up until we moved, and we were even doing that for the first few weeks of being open in our new store. And we ultimately came to the decision to cut this out of our business. So if you watch even Aquarium Co-op, he's talked about it a long time, Corey, about why they don't sell live fish. And I remember listening to that and hearing him talk about it. He's obviously someone massive in this industry and like someone that I've aspired to and used for inspiration. And I remember hearing that and thinking, yeah, right, like you're wrong, like you should be doing that. But it's really something that you need to specialize in to be able to do it properly, and it's hard to do on scale. So we don't have the right setup to do live fish online properly, and we had this idea of having like a select 6 species available on the website that would rotate every week. So for instance, we'd have like, this week we would have had like red cherry shrimp, pygmy cories, blue acaras, guppies, etc. We'd have 6 select species, and then they would be available from Monday until Sunday night, and then on the next Monday they'd change and we'd pack the orders from that week. We kind of just came to the solution. It was really, really hard to manage the inventory because we're dealing with live animals. We've got the quarantine process, and we just found it really tricky to, what would happen is we'd sell a fish online, say, because we'd only ship live fish on a Monday. And the reason we do this is that we wanted to make sure that the fish had as long as possible to get to the consumer's door, because most postal services don't run on the weekend. So in case something happened, normally they'd get there by the Friday, and we'd pack them with oxygen, heat packs and everything like that, and normally they'd be okay. We decided, well, what would happen is, because we'd ship them on the Monday, someone would inevitably order a fish on the Tuesday. They'd have to wait the entire week, and we'd have to hold on to that fish until the next Monday. And I guarantee what would happen every time is that during the weekend or during the week, we'd sell the fish, because we didn't have a separate area in our store to store live fish that were sold online. So like, when you look at the people who do this the best, the first people that kind of come into my head is probably Dance Fish over in the US. And that guy has an entire facility. It's actually really amazing if you go and have a look at it. I'd love to eventually go and have a look at it myself if you allowed me. But his entire facility is set up for this. It's only supplied online, no retail, and he does a perfect job at it. Not to mention that the US, there's a much larger amount of people in the US that can buy live fish, and the shipping systems I actually think are probably better in the US than here in Australia. So yeah, what would happen is we get to Monday and we'd go to pack the orders and we'd think, there's no, like, this fish is, we sold it on the weekend, it's gone. So then we'd have to do the whole thing with the customer, which was never a good interaction. Hey, we've sold the fish that you bought last Tuesday and you've been waiting 6 days. Well, no, longer. No, yeah, 6 days. You've been waiting 6 days for this to even get sent out. We don't have it. We're not going to get it for another week because we have to quarantine our fish. So are you happy to wait another 2.5 weeks to get this order that you placed 6 days ago? And it was just not really worth it. Not to mention that we, for our live fish prices, the way we price things is we're not aiming to be the most expensive, and we're definitely not aiming to be the cheapest. We're kind of aiming to be right in the middle with our live fish pricing. And then with our other dry goods, we try and be as competitive as possible. And on the setups, we do very, very low margin, because the reason we do low margin on our setups is that we want to incentivize people to get into the hobby. So we think that if we can sell someone a tank as cheap as possible, cheaper than hopefully Pet Barn and places like that, which it's very hard to compete with those prices, and we don't stock a lot of the same items yet. But we try and be competitive. And then with the online prices, you've got to factor into your margin losses, because losses are super common when you're sending fish in the mail direct to someone's door. It was just a ton of customer service. And then on top of that, I hate to whinge about it. It is very, very hard, and I have a lot of respect for people who do it properly. But managing all of the stock keeping units was very, very hard as well. So we stock in the store probably 150 species at a time. And to stock every single species, we have to pay a staff member, which was my poor manager, Mia, to go through, update the inventory after each week and do it. And it just doesn't work. And then another issue is if we'd have too many sales, the online store would rob our in-store for fish. And we just came to the conclusion that at this stage, we aren't going to do any live fish, so that we can just focus on getting our dry goods sorted. And we're hopefully going to be able to increase our plant selection at some point. But we're actually finding it very, very difficult at the moment with our online store to supply consumables. So basically at the moment, our biggest sellers online are Bug Buffet and Green Cuisine. Those are just the most popular foods for us. And then we just sell a ton of the other brands that we sell. I actually have to have a look at it. But the most popular thing that we used to sell was live fish, and we did make good money on it for a while, but after we moved, when we broke down the costs and how everything, like when we tried to figure out if we were even making money on it, the amount of time that we were spending on it versus what we were making was not worth it. And I just made the decision that that's it, we're done with it for now, until we can set up a proper facility to do it, which I don't really see us ever doing. I just don't really want to be involved in the whole live fish shipping space. Luckily, it was a huge cut to our revenue, but luckily it hasn't hurt us, and we've been not shipping live fish for the last month and a half, and we've remained in business. So unfortunately, that's where we're at with that decision. I'd love to be able to sell live fish. I would love to be able to do that, but we just made a decision that it's not fair enough. It's not fair, not easy enough for us to do, and long term, it's not really something we want to do as a business. So for us, long term as a business, our focus at the moment is on becoming the best online store for aquarium suppliers in Australia. That's our goal. We want to be able to supply as many good, awesome products as possible for a reasonable price, and be able to help do that. That's basically the goal, and then to have the best store in Brisbane. And shipping live fish and running an online live fish store wasn't really the goal. So we just made the decision, no more. So we will be definitely extending into plants at some point, because I've got a lot of planted tanks. I've loved keeping plants, and plants are a great consumable. They're easier to sell. So plants are easier to ship, they don't die, it's easier to store them, it's easier to grow them, and we're going to try and specialize in that at some point, but that's going to take a while. We're going to have to build up some resources, some more revenue, sell some more tanks before we can set up a plant system downstairs, which I think is what we're going to do. So for everyone who was wondering, we got a lot of actually backlash on it, I think, from people, because I think a lot of people appreciated our live fish service. Like a lot of people appreciated that we quarantined our fish, and I could understand that they wanted to buy stuff from us. So we got a bit of backlash for it, but hopefully you guys can understand where we're at and where I'm at with it. Like for me, I'm managing a lot of stuff. I'm managing the fish room at home. I'm managing creating content. I'm managing a team of people running the store, and I don't want the stress of having all of the customer service just to keep people happy, and I didn't really care about making extra money. It was just, yeah. So hopefully you guys can understand where I'm coming from. That was the decision, and yeah, hopefully you guys, that makes things a little bit more clear for you. But what are people saying? That's fair for sure. Could we order through the store and pick them up in store? Obviously, you'd expect us to pay for them in advance or something, but just so you don't get stuck with random fish you don't want. So what you're describing there, I think, sounds like click and collect. And we do click and collect for dry goods. So if you want, for instance, if you're going to come in store and pick up a bag of bug buffet and a Zis brine shrimp hatchery, if you had to drive from like the other side of the world to pick that up, you can buy that online, select click and collect, and we will put that aside and store it. So all you have to do is rock up, tell the team your order number, and we'll give it to you. But to do that for live fish, we'd have to have all of the live fish profiles displayed online, which would be the same amount of work as running the online store. So we won't be doing that for sure. It's kind of like, for us, the way we treat live fish in our business is, and this is just me being super honest with you guys, because I figure that that's probably the best way to be, super open and honest, and describe my thoughts about how things are going, because you guys might not agree. By the way, guys, this happened last time. I really need to get a moderator at some point. I haven't done it yet, so just please respect that. If you start spamming, I'm just gonna ban you. I don't have a lot of patience for that. And you're ruining it for everyone else, by the way. But the way we treat the live fish in our business is that they are kind of like the draw card for us. So what I mean by that, if you guys can hear knocking, I'm getting a new fence built, by the way, so it's very distracting. What I mean by that is that what we want to have happen is when we have on our online store, we have a list of what we have in stock, and we update that weekly. So it's not going to be 100% accurate all the time, but if you go online before you come in store and you're looking for some, okay, can people barely hear? That's kind of weird. Sorry, I'm just brand new to all this live streaming stuff, so bear with me. I think people can still hear me, so I'm just going to keep going. But yeah, you can before you come in store, you can hop online and check out like if we have stuff in stock. That index is normally pretty good, but you can give us up a call and just check as well. But the way we see it is that we have the best fish, I think, health-wise, quality-wise, and all that in Brisbane. And just in my opinion, I don't go around a lot of stores these days, and I wouldn't know for sure, but we definitely give them a lot of respect with quarantining, feeding, and care, just general care. So we see it as, well, you never know what you're going to get when you come in store fish-wise, unless you give us a call. Come on in, have a look at how good our fish is, or what fish are, have a look at all of the tanks that we got set up, and hopefully you buy some dry goods while you're there. So it's not really something like long term. Like obviously I used to breed a lot of fish, and I still do that, like here in the fish room, but I'm not looking to run a big fish breeding facility anymore. For me, we really want to focus on our brand Bug Buffet, and getting that over to the US at some point next year. So yeah, that's the way I see it. It's like a bit of a draw card. Like you guys come in for the fish, but you stay and get the other stuff. And that's the way I see it. And I think it took me a while to understand that if you look at, actually at most fish stores, and you look at their sales, you'll notice that even though we mark up fish quite a lot, most of the money probably isn't made on the fish. A lot of the money is made on consumables like plants, food, tanks and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically, and I've had to learn this all kind of on the fly or through YouTube, and I think it's taken me a while to kind of wrap my head around what we are as a business and how we can run and all that. So yeah. Yeah, so Bug Buffet to US, I know we've been really trying hard. We've actually been getting smashed with tariffs, I think. So we still do sell to the US, and I actually do have a code. I'll pin it on the live stream so you guys can see it. I'm gonna make that a little live stream treat. You can use this code in store or online, and you're gonna get 10% off. It only lasts until tomorrow, but it's 10% off, and the code is Outback10, just because it was an Outback update. But yeah, we still do sell to the US, so if you're interested in buying some food, you can buy it. We get smashed with the tariffs of sending it in, and shipping it there is extraordinarily expensive, and it takes about, I think, 3 weeks normally to get the product to the consumer's hands after ordering. So what we're going to be doing is next year, we're going to be attempting to get it over to the US and store it and stock it in the US. But we're still quite a while away from that. I think it's going to cost us like 15 grand just to buy all the product, and I'm like not even close to having that. So we're going to need to buy all the product, freight it there, and then work out the logistics. So it's going to be kind of tricky to do, but that's kind of my big goal for next year. And I think that I'm just rambling on now, so hopefully you guys are enjoying it. But I think that what happened for me, it's been kind of definitely an interesting road running this business, because it's, when I started my YouTube, I didn't really set it out with the intention of doing what I've done. I just kind of stumbled one step after another to where we are today. And during the process, there was periods where, especially at the end of last year, I've even watched back videos of myself during that time. I can just, someone just said they can't hear me. I don't know, hopefully you can hear me. During that time, I just looked tired, and I was just exhausted, and I just didn't really know exactly what I was doing, and I was trying to do everything, and I found that exhausting, because what I was trying to do was sell fish online, sell plants online, run bug buffet. Oh, now I've got to make a YouTube video. Oh, I don't want to get a manager because I'm too scared of like what happens if they do something wrong or whatever. And yeah, I just ended up like getting close, I think, to like really burning myself out. And where was I going with this? Well, basically now I've really had to learn how to say no to some opportunities, and also how to be patient and make sure that we're doing the best thing at the time that I believe is the right thing to do. I'm not really making sense, but so yeah, it's been a big year of learning for me. We've grown a lot, and I think that's because I've learned to trust people in a different way, like with having staff and that. Like, it's been definitely something I've had to learn, is that to believe in people, to trust them, to trust that they're not going to do the wrong thing, and if the wrong thing happens, then it happens, and you just got to take on, you just got to do the appropriate actions after. But yeah, we've learnt a lot, and we've grown a lot, and I think that's because we've really focused in on what's important. So like for me, what's important is having fun. That's probably the most important thing. So like going out for that little Outback trip was just a perfect example of that. Taking advantage of the fact that I do have a good YouTube channel going with a bunch of content, and that you guys are going to probably enjoy to see a closer look at that time out there. But like taking advantage of the fact that I can go for a quick trip out west, film parts of it, make a vlog, and that's like my job, and enjoying the fun of that. But yeah, having fun, making sure that what we're doing like in the YouTube channel and stuff, that I'm actually having fun and enjoying it. And then the next focus is definitely on Bug Buffet, 100%. On our product brand, making sure that we're always being able to supply it, and that we're going to be able to start distributing it. And then after that is our store, so online store, and then probably the retail store probably comes after that. So yeah, we've been doing a really good job, but I'm just trying my best to take things at my own pace. And the reason that I started this, this little veered off topic of discussion, is that because I'm balancing so much, especially like I've got a personal life as well. Like I've got my fiance Sanam that I want to spend time with. I've got friends that I want to see on the weekend, and I want to live a normal life. I've got to be really careful of where I spend my energy, and make sure that I'm not just trying to please everyone or trying to do everything all at once. I can only do one thing well at a time, and I've got to make sure that my priorities are set. And part of that was giving up the fish breeding element. And it was kind of sad, because I obviously loved that part of my life where I was only focused on breeding fish for profit. But since then, I've been so much happier with my fish room at home, taking things at my own speed, not collecting every single spawn that happens. And like, I think as a result of that, I think even my fish can feel that I'm a little bit less stressed out about it. And yeah, so I don't know where I went with that, but that's where I'm at with kind of like things personally. And yeah, I've been really enjoying just making vlogs, doing some like, you know, evergreen content at the same time, running the store. And yeah, no, things have been really good. I think that I've been, yeah, the happiest I've been in my entire life ever now. So, yeah. But I have been ignoring the comments. I'm sorry about that, guys. John is a member. Thanks for being a member. I understand the logistics of posting fish, but for me, it's a shame I won't be able to purchase fish from KFS. I live 3 hours away. It makes a 7-hour excursion for me. Yeah, it is a shame. I understand that. And that's like something that we did take into consideration, is that people like yourself won't be able to buy our fish as easy. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but for us at the same time, hopefully you can understand that we still want the business. Like, I'd still love to be able to supply you our fish, and at this stage, it's just too hard for us to run the back end logistics of that. Maybe when we've got a bit more resources, we could do it, but I still don't think so, because another problem with the live fish online was that we weren't able to actually have somewhere appropriate to store the fish. Like, we could keep them in quarantine, but it just really mucks the whole workflow up. And it's easy to have a fish room that's disorganized and run by yourself because you know where everything goes, so you can command it. But for me, moving into the new store was a great opportunity because we could set things up right. And when you have employees, I love all of our employees, but when you have employees, you have to make everything as straightforward as possible for people to understand, because they might, if you might know, oh, we keep fish in the quarantine that we sell online, and we collect them out and they put them there and we store them there till Monday and then we send them out. But a staff member who comes in and works 1 shift a week isn't going to understand that, and it's not going to get done properly. Everything needs to be systemized, and it's almost like the only job I've ever worked at is at McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's when I was 15, and it's actually amazing how much I learned as a 15-year-old watching that place and understanding the workplace. It's genuinely the only job I've ever worked. After that, I ran a lawn mowing business and did that. And then I got into the fish breeding, and I also used to buy and sell old used phones and try and make money flipping phones. But what I learned from McDonald's was that everything needs to be systemized. It needs to be easy for someone to understand, and someone to walk in, if they only want to work for us for like 5.5 hours a week, to come in on that 5.5 hour shift and know exactly what's going on. And the way we've set up this new shop, live fish online, doesn't fit into that. So yeah, it's a shame, because I'd love to be able to sell you those fish, but hopefully still make the 3-hour drive to Brisbane and back, and hopefully it's worth it. I mean, the new store's awesome. We're going to be setting up that new waterfall tank very, very soon, and there's going to be a bunch of stuff to look forward to with... You want to get out of here, Sam? I think you can hear the fence guy. He probably wants to go for a wee. I'll let him out. Here you go. But yeah, hopefully that makes a bit more sense for you, because it's been a bit hard to explain. By the way, I'm just drinking a little tea. But yeah, so I think that, yeah, hopefully you still make the trip. And like I said, like every single sale that we make, so whether you guys buy, like I'd really appreciate if you guys did continue to buy from us, because every single dollar we make does go back into this. Like, I'm not into having the best quality shoes. I'm not into driving the best car. I'm not into, for me, one of my favorite things to spend money on is probably experiences and travel. And that's what me and Snarm like to spend our money on, but we haven't been able to do that since we've taken on this new endeavor. But all of the money that we make pretty much goes back into the business and trying to make it better. So there's a bunch of big projects that we're going to be working on coming into next year. We're going to be working on getting ponds into the shop. We're going to be building a huge palletarium. What else are we going to be doing? The shrimp wall. There's heaps more. The better wall. And it's just going to take money and time. So, yeah, that's where we're at with that. But I think that I've been rambling for quite a bit of time. Unless you guys have more questions, I'll answer them probably after. But I think that it's time we start talking about some fish a bit more. Now I can show you guys kind of what's going on here in the room. So I saw a comment come up before. About the Senegal Barshes, I am reading the comments, by the way. I see them flicking through, so don't think I'm ignoring them. It's just hard to manage a train of thought and also read comments. But I saw a comment about the Senegals. They've actually been breeding like crazy since last week. So I'll give you a look. I'm not entirely sure exactly the best way to breed these fish because